Hi, welcome back to me talking about my version of the Marauders with Emma in podcast form. And we were going to have a dog.
He just left.
He said no. He said that he didn't want to be a part of this.
As soon as we start recording, he was out.
He was like, I'm done. But it's so funny. Oh my god. Oh. If you're not watching on YouTube, Emma's mic just keeps on
just swinging away.
It's just floating away from her face. So that oh no. Okay, well, I don't know how to fix that. So we're just gonna
neither.
Okay, we're just gonna have to deal with that. But anyway, should we jump into some questions?
Yes.
Okay. I think we have some good ones. I kinda went through them, but not really. Somebody asked a very important question. Do we like turtles?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, me too. So that's pretty good. I'm glad we're on the same page there, or else everything would go to
Fall
shambles.
apart.
Yes, everything would be terrible. So what are our hobbies, Emma?
I like to do art stuff.
Yes, you do.
That's fun.
You also like rock climb
I do,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And I do one thing. I do show choir, and that is all that I do, and it's a little annoying. That microphone's going to kill me. We're going to have to fix that at some
I
point.
don't know how it...
I don't know how either. Like, that's just a little... It wasn't doing that earlier. So. Oh.
Okay.
It's better now. We're all good. Okay. So, yeah. Somebody said, what's our favorite type of pasta?
I don't know.
I like just like I'm just saying pasta dishes. I'm gonna say spaghetti, but or like some fun funky things with vegetables in it. But like in addition to like the little,
I like the little bow tie ones.
you like the bow tie ones. I like the ones that are like shells. I don't know what that's called, but those are pretty good. They
I
like
think it's just called shells.
sweet, fantastic. I love it. Let's do. Oh, this is a good one. This person said, I just bought an inflatable tube guy that they have at like the car dealerships. So do we have any name ideas?
I think Jeffrey.
I think it's Jeffrey. Yeah, you should name it Jeffrey for sure. I don't know. I feel like Ronald is what's coming to mind for me. I don't have a good reason for that. You should probably go with Jeffrey, but as a secondary option,
Ronald.
Yeah.
Another.
Okay. What is our favorite type of cake? You do not have a favorite type of cake? I feel like this is like
angel food cake.
Oh, angel food cake. That's
It's
pretty
so
good.
good.
That's really good. I'm a firm believer in like vanilla cake with vanilla frosting, and like everybody's like that's like
It's all right.
it's all right. It's my favorite for some reason. Oh, you know what I also love? Like that, but like with fresh fruit in it. Like there's that fruit cake place that we had for
Oh,
like
yeah.
Lily's thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was so good. Okay, so we're back. So we should probably start for realsies. Fun fact, we have already recorded this episode, but then just oh my gosh, that was such a mess. I hated just dealing with that. It made me really sad. But anyway, we are now going to talk about where we left off, where they have been left off. And that is where they had just become, no, they hadn't just become Animagi. They had just spent their first night with Remus
Oh yeah.
in the thing, I believe,
shack.
right? In the shack, yeah. Yeah, so they are here, and the boys are standing outside of the hospital wing, and they're like, let me in. Like Charlie D'Amelio. They really want in, and Madame Pomfrey will not let them in. And she's like, you guys need to just like go to breakfast, please. And they're like, no, we're not doing that. And they're like, you never keep him in there that long. Like, what's wrong with him? And she's like, there's nothing wrong with him. He just needs his rest. And like, you guys need to leave. But they're like freaking out because like obviously they just spent the night with him and they're like,
Yeah.
why is he in there for so long? We're like not doing good with it. But then she finally lets them in for like 5 minutes. And they go in and they see him and they try and talk to him like normally because like Pomfrey's still just there like listening to them and they're like, But basically Remus is completely fine. Like normally he's like cut up, got some bruises, like not doing
Not
well.
doing his best.
0 out of 10 experience in being a werewolf, you know? But he's like fine. And like Madame Pomfrey's like, what the
She's like, what happened?
She's like,
Why?
literally what is going on here? And so she didn't really trust it, and that's why she was keeping him in there for longer and everything like that. But this kind of, I just need to talk about my favorite trope here, which is that like Madame Pomfrey definitely knows that like the Marauders know that Remus is a werewolf, but they all just like pretend that
No one knows.
they're like, oh, like you've been real sick, haven't you? It's like an inside joke at this point because of course it is. But yeah, they're like trying to talk normally in front of Madame Pomfrey, but then Sirius at some point like leans in and whispers and he's like, it went great. We have so much to tell you about last night. And Remus is like, you guess what? I remember what? And Sirius is like, what? And then they all have to leave. So yeah, so that's like the first fun, funky scene. So then we jump into Remus getting back to all of his classes and everything. So all throughout like Transfiguration, like he and the boys are like, he and the boys hanging out. No, but they're like whispering in the back of the class and talking about everything. And Remus basically explains that most of the time when he transforms, he like can see what's happening.
But he's like not in control.
Yeah, he's not in control and he doesn't really remember it well. He basically remembers like flashes of it. But this past time he could remember and see everything and see what's happening a little bit. This time he can see what's happening a lot of it. And he did have some amount of control. It was almost like he could suggest to the wolf like,
Don't
hey,
eat them.
yeah, you know, just casual fun moments of just please don't eat my friends. Casual fun moments. But yeah, so that night went better than anybody was expecting. And then James especially is like, so you know what this means, right, boy? And he's like, what? And he's like, this means that we can like go outside of the shack and like explore the Forbidden Forest for realsies, because like we've been doing that for years, but like now you're an animal and we're all animal. It's gonna be great. And he's like, no. What if no? And James is like, okay, you just said that you could like control the wolf, so why can't we just leave? And Remus is like, so maybe we should get used to this a little bit more. But they decide that they're definitely going to stay in the shack for the next couple months or so. And then they might leave, but even the thought of that, Remus is
This
not a
freaks
fan.
him out,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's like, oh, gosh. So anyway, the next scene. He's now in arithmancy. Lily walks in. 0 out of 10 experience that she's
There's
having
a lot
today.
of those.
Yeah,
0 out of 10
listen.
experiences.
This is all wow. This is all mainly based off of my own high school experience, which was 0 out of 10 all the time. No, we'll get into some happier stuff probably. I don't know, maybe. It's a possibility. No, but she walks in not having a good day. She's like mad and like disappointed for some, like head down on desk. She's not doing well. And Remus is like, hey, Lily, because they're like sharing a desk here.
Yeah.
So he's like, so it's like, are you like good or whatever? And she's like, I'm fine, but like she's very
Not
clearly
fine.
been not fine. And he's like, cool, like I guess, yeah, we're not there yet, so it's fine. But then the professor is like, okay, so like time to turn in your essays, get them out, everything like that. And Lily's like, I forgot my essay. And Remus is like, what? And she's like, I forgot my essay. And he's like, oh, like in the dorm? She's like, no, I forgot to write my essay. And he's like, that's tough, bro.
That's tough, bro.
Yeah, but so Lily has like always been like a really good student. She and James are, I guess, not intentionally competing at this point, but Lily's always like, I want to do better than James, you know? So she never forgets things, like, ever, but she forgot this. And so Remus takes out his wand and he's like, okay, you're going to say this spell. And she's like, why would I trust you? And he's like, do you want a grade or not? And she's like, sure. So then she says this spell that Remus she's never heard of before. They made it up. And now Remus's paper is now in Lily's handwriting and has Lily's name on it. And she's like, what? And like before she has any time to like say anything, the teacher like collects the paper and she's like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, like maybe we created that spell so that we could get away with cheating, but like it's fine, don't worry about it. And she's like, that's not fine, you like kind of just made me cheat, but like also she's kind of grateful because like now she has it, but also she's like, he's about to take a 0 because he didn't have an essay to turn in. So she's like very concerned.
She's
but
like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
now?
she's like, what about you? And he's like, don't worry about it. Trust me, it'll work out. She's like, I've never seen this teacher give anybody like a late pass or anything like that. She's like, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be fine. But then after class happens and she's about to go up and tell the professor like, yo, like Remus made me cheat basically, unknowingly. But before she can do that, Remus is like, hey, so like, you know, full moon last night, or he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that, but he's like, hey, so like just letting you know, like I'm going to turn in my essay late and like, you know that's good, right? And the professor's like, don't even worry about it. Like I know it's all good. And Lily's like, what? She's like, how do you get special treatment wherever you go? And he's like, well, it's actually a bit of a sad story, Lily. So my mom gets sick a lot. Yeah, for sure. That's what happens. And he's like, sometimes I get sick too. And so whenever I have to go visit her or something, like the teachers just know and they just let me off. And she's like, okay, like okay, but yeah, so moving on, except I got okay. So dinner, everybody's sitting having a good time, and then a fun little funky person named Eloise Davis comes in. She's a Hufflepuff in their year, and she's like, hey, Sirius.
Hey.
I'm a super model. I love that sound. Okay, sorry. But she's like, hey, Sirius, can I like sit here? And he's like, sure, bestie. And they like, she doesn't stop talking to him the entire time. And Sirius is like a big fan of this. And Remus is suddenly not a big fan of this. He's like, so yeah, I'm not enjoying this. And then after dinner, Sirius leaves and he does not return until very late. And it's the dorms and it's very late. And then Sirius comes back because he returns very late. I've said that about 50 times now. And so Remus can't fall back asleep. And then Sirius is back and he comes back at like 2 a.m. And Sirius is like, so like, where were you? And Sirius is like, why do you want to know? In actuality, I want you all to know that Sirius was practicing with Regulus, with like Quidditch tryouts, which are literally the next day. But he hasn't like told anybody else about that. And so then Remus is like, were you with that girl? Were you with Eloise? And Sirius is like, no. And he's like, you were. Why are you lying? And he's like, why do you care? And then Remus is like, why do I care? He starts having a bit of a crisis, trying to figure out these feelings for Sirius. But we'll come back to that another day. So the next scene is the next morning at breakfast. Quidditch tryouts are about to happen. Gryffindor's in the morning, Slytherin is in the afternoon. And before the tryouts, Eloise comes up and she like, Sirius, you know? Why do I speak like this? Anyway, but yeah, they kind of like smooch. And Remus just does not enjoy seeing that, and he's like still trying to figure this whole thing out. He's having a bit of a crisis. But then so James and Sirius are trying out for the Gryffindor team, and they both got in last year, but they're really still not sure about this year. There's a new Quidditch captain, which is Frank Longbottom.
Yes.
Hey. He's if you've forgotten, he is head boy as well, so he's kind of killing the game.
He's on top of things.
He's really doing well here. But yeah, Sirius is feeling pretty good at this point because he's like, okay, so like I got the girl, like I'm gonna kill it, it's gonna be great. But then Remus and Peter go to watch the tryouts. It goes great. They both make it in. And then shall I go through and read?
Yeah. Give us the lineup.
Let's do the lineup. So Chaser is James, and they're in 5th year, obviously. Another Chaser is Brendan Irwin. He's in 7th year. And then the last Chaser is Frank Longbottom. He's in 7th year, the Quidditch captain. Sirius is a beater, along with a guy named Brady Hawkins, and he's in 6th year. And then the keeper is Jensen Kreit. He is also in 6th year. You will not like him next year. Just a little spoiler alert. You're not going to enjoy that man's presence. And then Marlene is the Seeker, and she is also in 6th year in my version. So she's a year above the Marauders. But yeah, so they've like kind of known each other and stuff, but this is her first year on the team. She was like an alternate the last year, so she's really excited about that. But notice she's the only girl on the team. What? And she's a Seeker, and yeah. Anyway, come on, Frank. You gotta step it up. So Sirius is happy that he made it onto the team, but especially because now the new Gryffindor team is like gonna go and watch the Slytherin team's tryouts and like intimidate them. I don't know. It's whatever they think it is, whatever Frank thinks is gonna work. But he's like, trust me, guys, this is what's gonna make us win. Anyway, but the Secret tryouts definitely take the longest for the Slytherins. It's between like Regulus and like another guy, but the other guy is much older than him. Regulus is only in 3rd year at this point. I think he was 2 years behind Sirius. So it's like, do they really want a 3rd year on the team type of thing?
Yeah.
But then Sirius is like freakishly like interested in this, and James is like, bestie, I thought you really didn't care about your brother. Like, what's going on here? And he's not sure if he's nervous because like he wants him on the team or because he doesn't want him on the team. And so he asks something like, he's like, oh, are you like nervous you're gonna have to go against him? And he's like, no. But then Regulus ends up getting picked, and James is like, oh, Sirius seems pretty happy about this. And that's pretty funky. And so on the way, like, while they're walking back up, he's like, so you wanted Regulus to win, right? And he's like, I thought you two didn't really like each other. And Sirius is like, yeah, I don't like him, but he's still my brother, and he really wanted it, you know? And he's like, yeah. So that's kind of sweet in my mind. Anyway, what are we looking at next? Okay, next scene. It's with Snape and Lily in the library, in a secluded part of the library where none of Snape's friends are allowed. It's funny how they always meet up like this. Snape is complaining about the Marauders. Apparently, like, they hexed him in the hallway the other day or something. Yeah.
Like you do.
Yeah. I feel like I'm leaving out too much of, like, the Marauders actually kind of being jerks to Snape. But just, like, know that that's happening as well. I need to make sure that I'm including that more. But Lily's a bit quiet, and she's like, so was, like, Remus there too? And he's like, no. And she's like, okay. And so, like, she tries to move on from that conversation, and Snape's like, hold up, why do you want to know about Remus? Like, what do you think? He's like, why do you care? And she's like, oh, no reason. I just, he's a prefect, so maybe thought he wouldn't do that. And Snape's like, okay, he's not really a prefect, not really. Like, he's just,
like, he was just the only.
Yeah, he's the only person who was able to do it, but that doesn't mean that he's like good. And so he's like, he's just as mean as the others. He's horrible. And
Lily's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, but like maybe he did let me like take his essay anyway. But then Snape starts like going a little bit further because he does not like that she even showed a tiny smidgen of interest in this. He's like, and there's something weird about Remus too, don't you think? And she's like, no. So this kind of starts Snape on the hunt of like figuring out what the heck is up with Remus a little bit.
And Lily's just
vibing. She's like, I did not mean for this to turn into a thing. I did not think that anyway. And so but eventually she's just like, yeah, he's like the worst. I hate him. Yeah. But this is the moment where Lily decides to not tell like anybody about her friendship with Remus, like not even like her gal friends like Mary or Julie or anybody. Like she's like, it's just better to keep this on the DL. But yeah, and so then the last scene that we're gonna get into briefly here is the boys. The boys in the dorm, and they're like, all right guys, this year's been pretty tame, don't you think? Like we haven't like done anything
been a bit busy
big
with the whole animagic stuff.
yeah Remus is like, I feel like becoming Animagi was like kind of the big thing that we did, but like sure. But they're like, we need to do something that'll like get everybody out of classes and everything like that. Like a typical Marauders prank. The second biggest idea that they come up with is like just turning all of the stairs into water slides, but they're not really sure how to do that, so they end up just not doing it.
I think that would be fun.
I feel like that would be sweet. I think they might just like do that in Gryffindor Tower just for fun, like on those things.
The rest of Gryffindor would be so like on board.
They're like, this is sweet, and everybody would be on board except for Lily. Lily's like, guys, I'm just trying to do my job, please. But what they end up deciding to do is to just do extreme weather everywhere, like in the castle, just
tornadoes.
Like, yeah, just figuring out random stuff, like making it like snowing and then like 100 degrees and then like 100 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I'm not trying to literally light people on fire. Yeah. But yeah, and so yeah, that's kind of, and also like hurricanes, tornadoes, everything. But yeah, I'm sure that'll end up going great.
How is that easier than like a water slide?
I don't know. Because the water slide, you gotta like change the magical stairs itself. And in this, you're just adding weather, you know, like in the open air.
Okay.
Don't fight with me. No, you're probably right, but I don't know. I feel like changing the molecular structure of stairs might be a little bit difficult. Of magical moving stairs too.
They have a whole like class on transfiguration.
But there's special stairs, Emma. You can't come for me like this. No, you're probably right. Maybe they just decided that this was more fun or something. I don't know.
No, they're probably thinking the same thing as you. They're like, that's too much. And then Peter's probably just like, you just like, you know, and then that's it. And they're like,
and they do it in Gryffindor Tower, and it's like so easy. But they're like, it's
we
too
can't
much do it everywhere. But they're like, but we will.
But an earthquake.
And let's do an earthquake. Let's do it, y'all. It'll be great. All right. So this is definitely a shorter episode because we kind of went through that a bit quickly, but also we have already recorded that. So
did we get to hear the Slytherin team?
Oh, we did not get to hear the Slytherin team, and I did do that the last time. I just forgot this time. Whoops. Anyway, Slytherin team. So we have for Chaser, Philip Parkinson, maybe related to Pansy. We don't know. He's in 6th year. Chaser, another Chaser, we have Leopold Fitzroy. He is also in 6th year. Yes. And then we have Xavier Schwartz. He is in 5th year. And then we have, for beaters, we have Jack Dean and Lucas Tripe, and they're both in 7th year. And we have a keeper, Elijah Knott, also in 7th year. And then the little baby third year Regulus Black as the Seeker. And I just, yeah, so he's really like young. There's like one 5th year and that's about it. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, there's one 5th year. One of the Chasers, Xavier Schwartz, is in 5th year. But yeah, he's just little. But yeah, I think those are the vibes for today's little mini episode here. But if I don't make this episode longer, then there will be another episode coming on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. All right. Yeah, just thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Big thank you to Hamalia Black on TikTok for making the cover art for this. If you're, watching it on Spotify or, on Apple Music or anything where you see that art, that is who made it. We really appreciate it. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the episode and have a great day. Bye.
Rocky, come here.
Rocky, come on.
Rocky.
Good
Yeah.
boy. Good boy. Come here.
Come on.
Come on up.
Yeah.
Yes. Good boy. All right. Did I hit record? I didn't. Oh, no.
Rocky.
He just left.